Falling for someone's potential or the relationship's potential can actually be one of the biggest ways we can disempower ourselves in relationships. I know I was stuck in there for 5 years, sister. I will tell you all about it. So the problem is this can create some pretty toxic situations and can waste a lot of time. So I'm going to dig into why specifically, very specifically, we do this and how we can start breaking the pattern right now. Before we dive in, go ahead and hit that subscribe and alert bell if you are ready to see this content more regularly in your feed right now. Otherwise, you can show your appreciation by hitting the like button. When we are stuck in a pattern of focusing on potential, it usually leads us down two different roads. One is we're dating and we meet new people and we're continuously falling for what could be and then getting sorely disappointed. And it happens again and again and again. Or we get into relationship and we stay in relationship because there is so much potential and we want to see where it's going to go. And we stay and we stay and we stay and we're like, when is this going to happen? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Totally empathize with you on this. I myself went down the second road and I spent 5 years, yes, 5 years in a relationship that was primarily based on potential. He's a great man. I love him still to this day, but the focus was always on the future. Like everything will be better when. This would be so great if, because we had a really great connection, but that doesn't necessarily breed compatibility. The problem is over the years, it wreaked havoc on my life and eventually led to a total collapse of everything. My health, finances, career, friendships, everything. I learned a lot about how I dishonor myself exactly. It was a tremendous mirror for me, and I'm going to share some of what I learned here with you. If you keep getting stuck in potential, the bottom line is that for whatever reason, and we're going to get to that, we are unable and unwilling to look at the situation square in the face. We are not willing to acknowledge reality in the moment as things are. And we are stuck in the future. We are stuck in a fantasy. We are stuck in an idea and a non-reality. One caveat, and this deserves being said, is that we are all full of unmet potential. And this is something I'm going to go over later, so stick around. This is not that conversation. Like, yes, we do all have unmet potential in us. And that doesn't mean that things have to be perfect in order for something to work. But there is a line, and I'm going to go over where and how we can discern that line and draw it for ourselves. First, I want to go over a few behaviors that I think need to be pointed out that create this situation of dishonoring ourselves. The dishonoring behaviors that we do, that we engage in, that creates this situation. So I want to go over these first, and then we'll get to the why. So the first thing that can happen is that we basically stop listening to ourselves. So this means that we do get feelings, we do get messages from our body, from our emotional body, from our being, from our higher self, from our energies. We do get those messages, but we don't listen to them for whatever reason, which we're going to get to. And so we stifle them and we don't listen to ourselves. We gaslight ourselves even. We rationalize these feelings away. We feel something and then we're like, no, you're not. That's not what you're seeing. That's not how you're feeling. It's okay. We're going to go this way. This is hugely dishonoring and disempowering. This is self-abandonment completely and utterly, and self-compromise. Hey, I'm not judging you. Again, I spent 5 years at least of my life in this mode, so I'm right there with you. But this can be really dangerous because it leads us down a road that potentially isn't in alignment with us, because we're not listening to any of these messages. The second thing that can happen is that maybe we do listen to some of those messages, okay? And maybe we do give the dynamic some space. We give him some space to show up and show us with his actions, because actions are where it's at, right? To show us with his actions where he is, what he believes, how he feels actually, instead of what he's just saying. So maybe we do that, but we make accommodations for his actions. So this is where we make excuses for him. Like if he's got a lot going on with his family right now, or he's super busy at work, or he has a really intense career, or, right? And these can be totally valid. That's not to say that it can't be. But if it is consistently happening where you're consistently allowing these excuses to come in and sidesweep your needs and your feelings, That's a problem. Again, very dishonoring, because there goes our needs, our wants, our boundaries, our everything else out the door, so that we can accommodate this, so that we can make this person feel whatever. If you're a people pleaser, raise your hand. I am right here. Thank you. Can you see how staying in potential and being focused on this over here, how that creates this underlying behavior that is cutting us off at our knees, basically, and very disempowering? Not listening to our needs, we're not listening to our wants, we're not likely communicating any boundaries, and so therefore we're not connected to our true self in this dynamic. Everything goes out the window, and that's not going to work. So why on earth do we do this? What could be so freaking important that we're willing to sacrifice ourselves and compromise ourselves for this situation when we might even not know this person very well? So if we are stuck in potential land, it is likely because of the following reason: that this person has come into our lives, whether it's been for 10 minutes or 10 years, and we have unknowingly or subconsciously, or perhaps not so subconsciously, but likely pretty subconsciously, assigned them the role of primary giver, primary provider, primary source of a very essential human need that we need, like legit, we need it, but we have made them our primary source for it. So for example, love, attention, affection, acknowledgement, self-worth, ooh, that's a doozy, validation, these kinds of things. Now, I'm not saying it's wrong to get these needs met by other people. Like, we're human beings, we're tribal, we need these attachments, they help bond us, but it does become a problem when we have made them such a primary source or giver of that need that we become willing to abandon ourselves, stop listening to ourselves, stop listening to our needs or acknowledging our needs. We shove them aside and we abandon our boundaries and we don't advocate for our boundaries, etc., etc. So when we start developing that kind of relationship with ourselves so that we can get this need met by this person because we see them as our primary or sole source of it, it leads us down a road of further and further disconnect from our true selves, and that's when it becomes a problem. So I like to refer to this as plugging into someone else. Basically, what's happened is we have plugged into this other person to get A, B, C, D, E, F met, and instead what we need to do, if we're doing this, is plug back into ourselves. There's a lot of different techniques I use and tools to plug back into self. But if you need some help with that, you can go ahead and grab my free class. I'll link it in the description below. It basically teaches you how to pull your energy back from someone in any relationship. So it's going to help you understand why you're doing that, why you're plugging into this person, and how to pull your energy back and plug back into yourself. So check that out. If you find this is happening and that you're doing this, it doesn't mean necessarily that the relationship won't work or that this person's the wrong person for you. You're only going to know, however, if you unplug and plug back into yourself and start relating from an authentic, centered, and empowered place. That's the only way you're going to know, because that's the only way you're going to be able to see the reality of the situation and look at what is there right now. Before we move on, I would love to hear from you guys in the comments below. Are you stuck in a potential land situation right now? Does this happen for you? What's your story? Because I'm just curious about these things and would love to hear. But also, I think this is one of the best ways we learn is through listening to other people's stories and learning from them. So please, if you have a story, share it in the comments below, and I'm sure it will be helpful to other people who are reading it too. I'll share one more aspect of my own situation that was made it really, really difficult for me to see what was going on and make a decision about what to do about it. And that was connection, like a deep karmic connection. I call it karmic ties, a karmic relationship. It's like this, he's a wonderful, wonderful man, and he feels like family to me. There's great connection. But that doesn't necessarily mean compatibility. And there's a lot I didn't listen to about myself and about the situation and our compatibility or lack thereof or whatnot especially in the beginning. This was such a powerful learning experience for me though, and I'm so grateful for him for being in my life to help me through this, or help me see this. But it was such a great learning experience because I saw like all the ways that I was willing to abandon myself, not listen to myself. The way, like, again, I'm a recovering people pleaser, I'm a recovering codependent, like, all these things. So it really brought all these things to light, and I got the opportunity really to see all of these in play. And it was just a time in my life where I was ready to see it, ready to transform it, and ready to move on. So I'm not saying stay so that you can have that experience. I'm just saying for me, it took me learning those things to be able to get to a place where I could finally look at things how they were. Ultimately, I came to a place where I finally was able to forget the potential. Like, don't think about that. Don't think about what could be if I was perfect, if you were perfect, if we both got over all of our wounds and were able to relate perfectly, to finally get to a place where I could just look at where are we right now? What am I capable of right now? What are you capable of right now? And does that create a functioning relationship right now? And it didn't. So this leads us to, where do we draw the line? Where do we draw the line of, we're living in a fantasy potential land and it's harmful and we're dishonoring ourselves, versus, hey, we're human beings, we all have unmet potential, and we all need to give each other some space to grow into that unmet potential, or we're going to be some pretty effing lonely people, right? So 2 tools to help you work through this is, one is to first ask yourself, is this characteristic, this trait, etc., is it crucial or peripheral? Like, I would call communication habits or communication abilities or skills a pretty crucial element to a functioning relationship. I would call, like, does he stand up for himself at work, more peripheral? For me, that's just who I am. For you, maybe that is super crucial. I don't know. So you have to define for yourself what's crucial and what's peripheral. And is this thing that's happening, which category does it fall into? Because if it falls into the crucial category, that's something you really need to make sure that you're like super clear on and compatible with. And if it's more peripheral, then that's just something that they can grow into, that you are very willing to help them and be support and hold space and be a loving partner as they grow into themselves, because your needs are going to be met here. The second part to this is, if it is crucial, then ask yourself, okay, is the potential manifested enough? Okay, to make it function? Is there enough communication skills or habits, etc., to make this work? It's okay, like we all need to work on our communication skills, right? But is there enough here to function? Is there an awareness and a willingness to grow into the potential of being a better communicator? And only you're going to know that. One small caveat I want to point out here, because I too, dear one, fell into this trap, and this is something I always have to work on, which is, are we projecting a need for a perfect partner? I won't go fully into that in this video, that's a whole separate topic, but just something to check yourself with, because it certainly, this video may be really resonating with you. If it's like, yeah, I'm constantly disappointed and it never works out and it's never right and he's never right and blah, blah, blah. Is it because you're actually requiring him to be perfect, or a perfect reflection of you? Like, he has to do everything the way you do, love the way you do, perceive the way you do, give the way you do, receive the way you do. So just be aware of that, and just, do some gentle self-inquiry, ask yourself, see if that's a possibility, because if it is, then that could be more your problem rather than being stuck in potential. I hope this video was helpful for you. If so, please show your appreciation by giving it a thumbs up, or subscribe and hit the alert button if you are ready to have more of this content in your life on a regular basis. Please do check out my free class. It's going to be really helpful for you if you are really wanting to find out how is it that you're plugging into your partner that is maybe in a disempowering way, and how you can start plugging back into yourself. And it doesn't have to be a partner. It could be any relationship, especially a challenging relationship. So I'll link that in the description below. Until next time, be bold, be beautiful, and be brave. Thanks for watching.